It's officially winter. It's gotta be. It's fucking December 1st. So honestly, I should have been a little smarter. Called the video, because all these videos are on a 1-day delay. I should have titled the one I posted today "The First Day of Liftmas," even though technically it's today, because today's the 1st. But either way, on the first day of Liftmas, now I'm gonna be hitting some chest with a touch of shoulders, just for kicks. Just for fucking kicks. And the reason I say that is my shoulders are overdeveloped, you know? Like when I have an arm pump and I do like a back double bicep shot, when my arms are a little extra bigger than normal, then it's like, okay, we're cooking with fire here. But, you know, in a lot of other, or like side chest, anything, yeah, a little bit delt dominant. So, you know, but for that reason, I just don't do them as much. But they do need some activation every now and again, for probably twofold, right? Just to get them moving, but also I just like having a shoulder pump every so often. So probably the last couple sets of chest, I'll superset them, and not like a legit superset. I mean just kind of in between sets of flies. I might just do four or something sets of lateral raises. Not the hardest thing in the world, but a little boring for some. You know, shoulders gets a lot of hate. Shoulders and arms, I feel, for the same reason, because it's always like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Just 8 sets of side lateral raises? What am I supposed to do? Just 8 sets of curls? I mean, I don't see it like a ton or anything, but that is the argument, you know, hyping up like doing back or chest or something instead. Even legs, because these guys are like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? Just sit in one spot with the 30-pound dumbbells and just do sets of lateral raises back to back to back without really changing anything up? It's like, I mean, yeah, man, kinda, you know? And I see that as a positive. So all that means for me is, all right, sweet, I'm about to do some shoulders. I don't have to move on to different kind of machines or anything else. I can set up camp, you know, pop a squat on a bench or a little seat or something, and then just go nuts, right? So I see that as simpler being better, not simpler being boring. But with chest, I know I want to start with a reasonably heavy press. I've been doing a lot of incline Smith or barbell, so I think that might be off the table. And I might want to swap it with like a plate-loaded flat press or potentially a hammer strength press. I'll just have to see. I'll just have to see when I get in there. But after that, I kind of got free range, you know. I'll move on to some kind of fly, some kind of cable press, perhaps, kind of a superset between the two. And then with that approach, man, it just always leaves me with a pumped chest. So there's a certain skeleton of a workout plan that I have, but the actual details and like the the order of everything, it can fluctuate based on the day. And for me, at least, that works really well, because it makes me excited, because I know that every workout isn't the exact same workout I just did. You know, it's not giving me like deja vu of like, oh, I just did this chest day, last chest day. Okay. You know, or like some shit like that. So I also think that lets you accommodate for any, you know, particular ins and outs of how you might be feeling on the day. Because if you just stick to a not random, but a set routine without much variability, then I feel like what can happen is you can actually like put yourself in a position to, I mean, even get hurt. Because if I roll in and I'm doing lateral, or I'm doing like rotator cuff warm-ups, I can tell my right shoulder's a little, it's a little funky, something's off a little, like nothing jarring, but like I can feel something's off. Maybe that's a good indicator I shouldn't try to do, you know, 3 plates or excess on the incline barbell, or this or that or whatever. You know, like there's a lot of little warning signs that you can feel for and kind of just have a sense for in your warming up phase, where that's what I want to have complete before I decide to say, okay, what should I do next? Because if you don't, I mean, I feel like you're just going in blind. And of course, that's a bit easier for me to say, because I mean, by now I've done almost like 2,000 lifts. So split between body parts, that's like 500 or so chest days. Probably actually maybe a little more. But, you know, I've done them that many times. I've got a bit of a feel for like, okay, if I do this and then here, and, you know, I know this is going to add up to a workout that's going to feel good for me. Fatigued, pumped up. I mean, really, that's kind of what I'm aiming for, right? Fatigued and pumped up. So, after, you know, be able to look back on that bank of experience, I think I'm getting a little smarter where I can say, okay, maybe 4-plate Smith machine isn't a good idea right now. Maybe I should go a little lighter, or maybe I should do just some cable presses today, make it a bit more squeeze focused, like how some guys do like a heavy quad day versus a light one. You know, maybe they do heavy leg press, Smith squat, whatever, and then they counter that by doing more squeezing stuff the next leg day, just so they don't kind of start to accrue stress like in your hips, your knees, and everything else. So all that's to say is just have a good try to develop a bit of a lifter sense for whenever anything's a little bit off kilter. And not only that, but if something is like, if you're past the point of like, okay, I'm hurt, don't do the same shit that just hurt you before. Or like if your forearm's on fire right in the pit of your elbow when you do like really heavy curls, that's a pretty clear indicator of of sensory response. Maybe don't do those curls anymore. You know, maybe do something a little lighter. Just get the area warm while you sort of recover. And I know it sounds simple hearing it in the third person, right? But I've seen guys where every lift, dude, my shoulder's like really screwed. I can't even bench. And I'm watching the guy say that as he's benching. You know, it's just doesn't compute sometimes. But either way, 5:25 feels like it's freaking 8 o'clock based on how dark it's getting. So I'd say within before the top of the next hour, we're gonna be doing a freaky pose down, preferably, or at least hopefully, with some veins creeping across my chest. And then I'll probably end up saying some shit like, "Holy crap, whoa," you know, just something silly like that. But I think there's nothing else to discuss. Let's just make this chest/shoulder day happen. Pose down and come home. I've only eaten one meal today. It was like a late, actually more like just like a late lunch, and then I took a nap. So, I mean, I've been up for a while, but I did, yeah. So, running a little lower food-wise. But that's kind of the whole point of the diet, so that's good with me, right? The fact that I've got 1,800 or 1,700 calories left to eat after this workout, all that means is I get to go to bed with a full stomach. So that's honestly, that's pretty much a W every time, or at least every day that I'm dieting. Because going to bed hungry, oh, it just sucks. Plus, the likelihood you're gonna get up, find the randomest snack you've ever found in your cupboard that you never even thought of eating before, and say to yourself, "Well, I'm kind of hungry. You know, maybe I should just eat some whatever." It's, try not to. Try to save some calories before bed just to hold you off until you fall asleep. But yeah, no more chatting. Let's get started. I'll be honest with you. I don't think this is, because there's a ton of different hammer strength chest presses, and this one's good. But my favorite, and this isn't like a grading scale of which one's better, it's just like my preference. But they've got like a really inclined one. I guess this is the other version of their flat press, and they got more of a decline. Usually the flat press is my favorite, but this one's just something about it, not perfect per se, but for what I got available, this will do the trick just right. So 3 plates into 25, which like it is heavy, but I don't feel like I'm gonna hurt myself. Like the 3 feeler reps of 3 plates felt very doable. So I mean, I could see this being a 15 rep set. But one thing with a lot of these machines is I gotta put these plastic clips as spacers, because if I don't, I feel like I'm gonna hurt myself, because I'm gonna get a stretch, but I don't start at that starting position. Like I feel like I'm just asking for trouble. You know? That's like putting somebody onto a cambered bench bar where they get an extra 2 inches range of motion out of nowhere. Kind of a little freaky. But by adding these 2 spacers, as soon as I lift off, they'll fall to the ground, and then I can get into it. But the only thing left for me to do is pick a good song and go nuts. Oh my God. Whoa. 3 plates of the 25 was too much. Let's lose the 25. But it really gets started though. One thing I like about the chest presses specifically, much more constant tension. Like I'm getting work the whole time, but that's kind of a given. Let's do the next one. I was listening to Let's Groove, kind of old school. Oh yeah, okay. Oh. Oh. Oh, good. That was a good starting machine. But I think I've gotten my use out of it. Let's move on. I go a little faster paced. Because when I'm dieting down, it's not like I need 5 minutes. Because like relative to the damage that my sets do in a bulked up state, when I've got extra energy, extra fucking like glycogen, extra everything, I can really swing a fucking heavy hammer. But dieting down, I got more of like a nail hammer, right? So I can swing it as hard as I want. It's just not doing as much damage, you know? Like fully carved up and bulked, I mean, this would be like 25 reps. But it's not about the numbers. It's about the subjective intensity, no matter where you're at. You know? So if you wake up weak one day, who gives a shit, man? Failure is still failure, whether you're doing 3 plates or 1. But let's move on to something else. Maybe, well, I guess we'll find out.
Come on, big breath. Big breath at the top. Come on. Big breath. Yep, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Yeah, that's good. Whew. Yeah.
The top, come on, breathe at the top. Get it up. Big breath, come on. Yep. Come on, breathe, breathe. Exhale, let's go.
Oh my God. Oh, goodness. I'm surprised I could even rep out 3 plates after those sets of chest press. So I'd say the heavy portion of this lift is complete. So I want to totally contradict it with this set. 35-pound flies, which very doable at this point, but kind of a high angle. I'm gonna take a few steps forward, and I'm thinking a few things. I want to keep my shoulders back here and keep my palms up. Because whenever I do any kind of fly, or even chest press with cables, once you start pushing like this, especially for me, I'm already prone to hunch. As soon as I got my hands over here, front delts pump to hell. So keeping my palms up helps keep my front delts out of it, because it almost like rounds them out of the way, so it's more chest. But Set or two of these, maybe a superset afterward. We're close to done. More than halfway for sure. I mean, 4 crazy sets of pressing done. That's about right. Yeah. 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 Okay. Let me make some adjustments. That was good, but I think I gotta lower these cables for the next one. Another set of flies, but this one is gonna be a bit more pump focused. And what I mean by that is, of course, badass value to a slow, controlled set. But, dude, don't neglect, I don't know what words I was trying to combine there, but I think there is still a value of doing some pump out reps, like quicker, faster pace, just constant tension the whole way through, not even crazy slow. And I mean, I can't explain the myofibrillar process, which makes my chest inflate with more blood than normal. But I can say this, my chest is gonna be more pumped after this set than if I were to do something else. So 35s again, same weight, and nothing crazy, still palms up. But instead of taking a few steps forward, I ought to stay right in the middle and bend over. Sort of gives a similar effect, but now I don't have to worry about back and forth balance. All I gotta do is worry about keep my shoulders out of it and going nuts. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think that's good. And I think I lied about the shoulders. Well, yeah. Let's just go straight to pose down space. All right. So that was 2 sets of chest press, 2 sets of incline, 2 sets of cables. Yeah, 6 hard sets. All done pretty quickly. I said some shit in the car before. Yeah, I think I said before 7 I'd be fully pumped. It's 6:30. So obviously not the longest workout in the fucking world, but it just doesn't have to be, And that's not a blanket statement, right? Don't forget the fact that right now I'm simply trying to stimulate my chest as much as I can, but there's no point really in me trying to overdo it because I'll simply end up stressing my system out from overwork, and it'll just totally throw off my whole time frame of getting leaner and everything else. So I want to get to a point where I'm fully pumped, I'm fully fatigued, I've done some stimulating work, but not exceed into overreaching too many sets. Physically, if I were to do 3 more sets today, it would do me no good. It might not do me that much bad. If anything, maybe it would be good because I'd burn more calories for the day. But for the most part, dieting especially, I want to do as much as I need, pose down, be done, go home and eat something. And that's that last portion of that statement is extra legit today. I got a lot of food to eat still, which is a nice feeling considering I am in a fucking deficit. But no more chatting there. Let's just let the pump speak for itself and then get ready to get in the car. So, holy crap. Yeah, so the leaner I get, obviously the trimmer my waist becomes. And then, I mean, even just standing, no pose, no nothing, I feel like a total fucking freak show. Which I guess should be the point by now, right? But still. Maybe it's just something how I'm wired, but it never ceases to fucking give me some feel goods in my mind to see myself pumped up in the mirror. But let's run through some shit. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Oh, holy shit. Dude, fucking holding these poses after a full-on chest day is getting tricky. But as I'm sure it's coming off, very grainy, getting much grainier. And I mean, I'm not even 2 months into dieting yet. So as freaky as this may look now, there is only more to come. But, oh my gosh. Yeah, we're definitely getting somewhere with this fucking side profile. This was the coolest shit ever for me. Because obviously, or maybe not obviously, but I'm a huge Baki fan. Like I was watching the '90s show Baki, or the '90s version, when I started working out. Like that was an awesome source of hype for me. So the first time I could see myself do like a side profile like this, and it's just like that one frame, that really got me fucking going. But let's see if I can reach around and do a side tricep, which with a full chest pump, it's hard for me to pull my fucking shoulders back that far. All right. A lot of the bodybuilder characters, they're always telling me I want my like this shoulder up, which I'm not saying they're wrong or anything, but I kind of like the freak factor of like the full-on sideways look. Oh goodness. But either way, feeling quite fucking freaky, and I just don't even want to leave. I want this pump to last fucking forever. But the fact that it doesn't is what really gives it its true value. Oh goodness. All right. Enough pump checking. I this is just crazy cool for me. I don't, and it's hard to translate because obviously I'm like 240, like 238, 239 right now. But even at 170, looking at myself pumped up, like just going back and remembering like my sort of level of satisfaction of like looking at myself with a pump back then versus right now, it's really not that much different. Because it's like how getting something is usually less enjoyable than chasing it. I'm trying to think of an example, but like whatever, like something that you used to think was like, oh, once I have this, I'll be crazy happy, and then you get it and it just doesn't work. It's like, you get spoiled over time. But with the pumps, it doesn't matter if you've been working out for 2 months or 2 fucking decades. Every time you get a pump and you look at yourself extra freaky, extra veiny, or even a bulked context, just a little bit extra big and like defined. That's just cool, man. And it's simply a boost from your baseline. That's what gives you its satisfaction. So whether you're walking around at 280, lean like an absolute freak, or at 180, or like a regular character, dude, the feeling of satisfaction of raising yourself from that baseline, at least in a pose down context, and this might only have to do with you know, anybody who's got the fucking gym bug and they're nuts about it. But honestly, I mean, everybody watched the original Spider-Man, and when we saw Tobey Maguire a little extra beefy in the mirror, you don't think everybody was like, man, that would be cool. That would be cool to wake up jacked, right? I mean, if you could press a button, everybody would do it. But when you put it into reality and say, okay, you know, work out for this many years, do all this cardio, do this diet, you know, don't eat pure, just regular food that tastes good all the time, makes people take a step back. But yeah, now I'm just getting into random ass rambles. Let's get in the car. This was a fucking awesome night. All right, so this is not actually immediately post lift. I had a little bit of a pit stop. There was indeed a little bit of a pit stop before the car, and that was just 10 quick little minutes on the seated bike. Difficulty level 9, RPM 85 or something, which, when that all adds up together, that puts me at about 100 calories a minute. The machine said I burned, no, holy shit, 100 a minute would be insane. No, 10 calories a minute. So that put me at I was probably actually pedaling a little faster, so that put me at about 114 calories in those 10 minutes. That's what the machine said. And I mean, I'm sure they're based on some kind of metric. Actually, if anybody is aware of exactly how they're calculating that, I'd be kind of curious to read that comment. Because I mean, it's that value is not going to be the same for everybody, because everyone has different levels of efficiency, you know? And what I mean by that is like, if you take somebody who's a serious marathon, would you say marathon cyclist, or would you just say competitive cyclist? Well, either way, that guy is much more efficient at his cardio than I would be, you know? So for us to both pedal at, let's say, well, the same difficulty, level 9, 80 RPM for 10 minutes, both of the machines are going to read the same amount of calories, but his heart rate is going to be much lower than mine. You know, for him, that he might even just stay at 80 and barely even get raised above, get raised above baseline a little, but he's just more efficient, you know? Whereas I'm going to be up at like 120, 130, like that's what you're really aiming for. So it's not necessarily aiming for like a specific number, it's just making sure that your heart rate is elevated to a certain zone for a period of time. And it doesn't have to only be from sitting around doing cardio. You know, if you've got a crew where every lift at like 5 o'clock, you know, they're playing basketball for an hour, that is cardio. That is fucking legit, you know? And if you've got like a little techie, like Apple Watch or some kind of heart rate monitor, and you can look back and say, oh shit, for the past 45 minutes of playing basketball, my heart rate was 120 on average. You know, maybe it spiked up a little when you're really going for it, and if you if you back off in defense, maybe it gets a little bit lower. But if the average is elevated, dude, you just did some cardio. You're good, and it really just adds up throughout the day. So I added a little extra 10 minutes post lift, which not that hard. You know, 10 minutes post cardio, you guys have no excuse. And I'm not saying you specifically, I just mean in general, like 10 minutes on the cardio bike post-workout as like a little bit of a dip your toes into what cardio is like. Dude, not the trickiest thing in the world. And then just work your way up from there. You know, of course I'm going to be saying do your 30 minutes of cardio every morning on its own, like having it be its own event unrelated to the lift so you can really optimize that lifting portion. But yeah, just easing into it. You know, let's say you just finish arms, you're not totally dead. You're not totally fatigued, like, I gotta go home. Yeah, it's just arms, man. You know, even if you went extra hard, your whole system is not so stressed after like a leg day or something. You got some energy left in the tank. And before you know it, that 10 minutes is going to turn into 15. And then maybe you're feeling extra excited watching like some hype TikTok edits. I mean, I'll get into that pretty seriously. Where not even watching a video or anything, I'm just scrolling through some of my saved shit that gets me amped up, and like I'll be like going hard on the cardio. I'll up the difficulty a little bit for a couple minutes and like really fucking get into it, you know, because it's not a, and that really helps for me because then you're not treating it like a chore. You're treating it like an activity. I mean, why do you think all the cycling classes or like the Peloton classes and stuff, they're trying to get you excited about it? They're trying to like turn it like maybe not gamify, but like make it an exciting thing because it's more fun to do it that way, you know? Like if you can get into it, it just makes sense. You'd go harder. So whatever gets you going, I say go for it. But that's one benefit of the phone, right? And just like scrolling social media style stuff, or like watching all sorts of YouTube videos, or catching up on your shows. If you got 30 minutes of cardio, then I mean, I don't feel bad playing on my phone for a half hour straight if I'm on the cardio bike, because I'm like, dude, I just got to pass the time anyway, right? You know, scroll away. So that's why you're not going to catch me do the Stairmaster too often, or like the treadmill. Like I know a lot of guys love the incline walk, but I want my hands free. You know, I want to sit here and fiddle around, and before I know it, that 30 minutes is over. Like I didn't even think about it. If I'm feeling really crazy, sometimes I'll do an hour, but not on a regular basis. An hour every day. I'm not at that level of dieting yet. I think it's going to happen. I mean, today was 45 minutes total, 35 in the morning, 10 post-workout. But yeah, so what I'm trying to do is just increase my overall energy output like that, and then simultaneously decrease my calories as necessary. Because those are the two opposing forces which will either put you in a calorie surplus, calorie maintenance, or a calorie deficit. Bulking, maintaining, or dieting down, getting leaner. Right? You're not going to lose any fat if you're bulking up. And do not, I don't like when people talk about, well, when I first started working out, I gained 5 pounds of muscle and I got leaner at the same time. That is true. That is for sure. Obviously, there's some body recomp value as a beginner because you've never trained before. Like, you're really getting a new stimulus. But I'm talking like once you've been lifting a year and a half, you're legit, like you've sort of got those newbie gains down, which are, I feel like sometimes people say newbie gains like kind of arbitrarily, but it seriously is just a phenomenon. If you take somebody and you change nothing about their diet, you change nothing about their sleep or hydration or anything, and you just add weight training 5 days a week, not even like crazy weight training, but just like some basic shit, or if you take a weight training class in high school or some shit like that, not to, I feel like I just said shit 10 times in a freaking row, but purely adding weight-based training like that, you're going to see gains. As a beginner, that's enough to put you past the threshold of no results into results. But over time, that threshold increases. And now, instead of seeing some progress with just 5 workouts a week, reasonable intensity, you know, just getting into it, breaking a bit of a sweat, gets harder to do. So that's where I think that the calorie side of things, the dieting side of things, is like, it's like cheat codes. I mean, it seriously is. You know, if you take somebody who knows anything about it's like having your main in Smash Bros, dude. If you know all the tricks and you know all the moves and everything else, it's so much easier, right? So if you're the guy where you're like, oh man, you know, I wish I could get a little bit leaner. I wish I could, man. But it's, you know, the actual like action step of what you should do to start to approach that goal is a little bit arbitrary. Fuck, man. Cardio bike, macro tracker. Those are some pretty damn powerful tools if utilized correctly. And they're so unassuming. You know, it's not so flashy. It's simply a question of doing this stuff on the regular, and before you know it, whoa. Never seen lat striations before. Oh, never seen that vein before. Never seen, you know, but the tricky part is it just takes a long time. And depending on the guy, I mean, if you take a beginner dude, 160 pounds, he starts working out, he gains 20 pounds of muscle over the course of like 3 years or 15 or however many. Like, he goes from more of a just regular looking dude to like, this guy lifts which it doesn't take that much. You don't have to be 230 lean to look like you work out. I mean, when I look back at the pictures when I was 180 lean, yeah, man, I look fucking cool. I wasn't as big, but that's not like a negative, right? I was just at that level, you know. So there's you don't have to be a freaking 260 pounder. Don't think I'm trying to say that. But oh crap, what was I about to say? But you know, when I hear that, that's not so impressive to me. And I'm not trying to like take away from anybody's gains. But what really gets me going is when I hear the stories, or I run into somebody at the gym and they show me some before and after pictures where like they used to be 100 pounds overweight. And over the course of like, I mean, they always like a year and a half, they're down to like a 15% body fat. That's what really gets me excited, because these guys, as a beginner, I mean, like being introduced into weights, now they did have that extra difficulty of having to deal with that fat loss in the beginning, which, I mean, I think 9 times out of 10, not even the dude's fault. Especially if you're younger, that's really wrong. I'm going to put a lot of blame on the, you know, any of you guys who are parents, right? Try not to feed your kids too much junk, because it does add up. And fuck, man, in the future, you're giving them a problem to solve later. It really sucks. So I'm never going to look at somebody who's overweight and think, man, sometimes that you can't even fucking control it, man. You know, you just draw some bad cards. But the guys who show me those sort of progress pictures and those journeys, like my eyes light up, because they know about the cardio, they know about the calories, they get it, they've done it, they've seen it happen. And until you've really gone through that and made like significant body recomp changes by way of, you know, extra cardio, calorie restriction, like, and simply just having gone through the process of like straight up having the mental toughness of, okay, I'm hungry, but if I overeat, that's not conducive with my goals. All right, I can handle this. Like, that's what's most impressive to me, because those guys usually are the ones where they go the furthest, right? They work out the longest, they stay in reasonable shape for the longest. That I kind of and half of this is me just kind of guesstimating, but from what I've seen, that's kind of what I've got the gist of. Because for them to get into fitness, the barrier to entry was much higher. So if you overcome a harder challenge, you're going to be tougher at the end of it. So, I mean, a lot of the times that's what gets me fucking excited, because, you know, anybody can start working out, but to really get a good grasp of, like, you know, I'll say the same shit every time. I'm like, okay, so you know about the calorie tracking, you're actually doing your cardio. You're like, yeah, goddamn right, because it's the only way to do it, right? And I'm not saying it's easy, but that's what gives it its value, the fact that it's hard. And you can look back and say, holy crap, I lost 50 fucking pounds this year. Like, that is insane. I'd say that's cooler than saying I gained 5 pounds of muscle this year, just because it's got more, it's just got like a fucking coolness factor to it, you know. So that's where you got to hold strong, right? Whether it takes a year, 2 years, or however long, those results are there waiting for you, if you can get all these sort of things in place. I mean, that's why I'm never going to stop talking about the calories and the cardio and the, like, getting a good sort of sense of just, you know, how the food that you're eating is going to react. I saw 2 eyes kind of flashing over in the field or something, distracted me. But getting back to what I was saying, like, if you can get a good grasp of really how this food that you're eating affects your end result, lifting wise, performance wise, just overall, like, feeling wise, like, I feel pretty good right now. Just subjectively, like, my end state is not me walking around at like 290 bulked. Like, I'm gonna be a leaner baseline state, not really pounding down food. You just feel better, you know. I sleep well, I feel a pretty decent amount of energy, I'm much more flexible. Like, I'm certainly in the realm of like being reasonably muscle bound, but when I'm dieting down and I'm not so like full of carbs and just like I feel like if I like when I get I'm sure on some of these leg pumps into this next bulking phase, like, I'm probably gonna get a new stretch mark somewhere, like like a day it'll happen. It won't just accrue slowly, like, oh, that was a crazy leg pump, oh shit, that's a fresh one on the outside of my quad. Like, that's you know. But that's not forever. Like I want to get to a point where I'm like, all right, this is about as big as I want to be. Let's stay here for a while. And let's stay here and just kind of enjoy the being, right? But get clean, freaking stretch. But yeah, so you know, it's just nice. So all that's to say, do your cardio. Think about, oh yeah, wait, I'm not done yet. I lost my train of thought, but I found it. So that's where I'm never going to stop talking about that, because it's such a powerful fucking tool. If you take a guy who's worked out for 2 years, he's got a good grasp of working out. He knows, I'm assuming he's really, trying to learn about it, but he knows all sorts of curls. He does good workouts. He pushes himself hard. He doesn't go easy. Like, he's an experienced lifter. To take that guy where he's like, he just kind of eats whatever. He might do a protein shake every now and again, but apart from that, he's not really leveraging the diet to, target whatever goals he's really aiming for. And not everybody has to. There is definitely a draw to not worrying about your diet at all, because working out versus not working out is already a massive boost. Not everybody wants to be dealing with counting your calories all the time. But I'd be, I feel like I'd just be holding back information if I didn't really say, like, dude, if you can get a good grasp of these, of your calorie intake, carbs, fats, proteins, meal timing, like maybe you're trying to diet down, you want to leverage more meals later in the day so that it's easier to stay in a deficit. Like, dieting, it doesn't have to be torture. Like, you can make it easier on yourself. It takes a while to get there, because like anything, you got to learn about it. It's going to take some basic just skill acquisition and practice. But once you've got a reasonably good grasp on it, I promise, things that used to feel like a crazy plateau, like this bench number or this body weight or this level of leanness, those things will, I promise, expand beyond like what you thought you'd be able to do before. It's just that powerful, So you're never gonna hear me shut up about the cardio or the dieting. Like, obviously go hard, but that's what separates some guys versus some others. But that's all I got to say there. I am very fucking hungry. I don't know what I'm gonna slam. I got about a pound of ground beef left. I might do some deconstructed burger. So that's where I take I'll do like a pound of ground beef, ketchup, low sugar, mustard, mayo, relish, kind of mix the whole thing up. And it's like, getting burger-esque, no carbs, but it's that's the kind of shit you start to get into. But I'll get into some more dieting stuff soon enough. I got to I'll try to record a couple of those and make like a little dieting cooking series. I'll probably just do one long video with like 4 or 5 different little meal recipes that I like doing. Like the ground beef bowls, love them. Some peanut butter or some powdered peanut butter stuff with some low carb tortillas with like sugar-free maple syrup. Like, I got a couple tricks here, but I'll try to put them into something soon enough. So plan for tomorrow, slam back. I think I'll add some calves too. Haven't really been smacking calves around too hard. And then come back home, eat something, go to sleep, and repeat. That's kind of going to be the plan for the next couple of months. Actually, well, go home, eat, and sleep. That's the plan forever. But in the dieting phase, just the next couple of months. So that's all I got. I'll see you for back tomorrow.